Hi everyone, welcome to Mixed Media Menagerie. I'm grateful and honored to be December's guest artist, joining the fabulous Laura, Nicole, and Erin. Thank you ladies for this wonderful opportunity. The prompts for this month are a tip-in, colored ink pads, and carve a stamp. And I'm glad that I was encouraged to take creative license with these prompts because while I adore them, they really aren't my regular go-tos. And this isn't a setback. Prompts allow play, exploration, and the chance for creative practice and self-expression. I've carved a few stamps, and it's definitely something I'd like to practice more. But my all-time favorite way to create stamps is with foam. Yep, good old kids crafting foam. These are fun and easy to make. On the left are stamps that are well over a year old. They've held up pretty well. And on the right are some new ones. Now, there are many artists who make beautiful, intricate designs, and those are worth exploring. I tend to work with simple, basic shapes, mostly circular, and of course you can draw inspiration from nature, found objects, anything you like. All you need to get started are a pair of scissors and adhesive-backed foam sheets. You can find these at craft stores and also online. If you can't find the adhesive-backed ones, regular foam sheets are fine to use. You just need a glue gun, and even a low-temp one will do just fine. Keep a bowl, bin, or basket to catch your scraps, and you're ready to go. I like to start by creating a base. You'll need 2 sheets, and you're going to stick them together. Peel back about an inch on both sheets. Put them together, matching them the best you can, and press. Hold it down. All you do now is pull the backing paper and press the 2 pieces together. Don't worry if they don't match up perfectly, but you'll want to trim any sticky sides that are off because they're like magnets for any debris that you have lying around. Then you'll need just 1 sheet for your design. Let's start with an open, wonky circle. I'd advise not using your good shears. Your scissors should be able to cut well, but sometimes they'll get gummy from the adhesive, so just keep an eye on that. Hang on to the frame. You might want to turn it into a stamp as well. So you can leave this circle as is, but I like to cut another circle in the center. Just cut straight into it and make whatever shape you like. Next, remove the backing and put it onto the base. Then cut it out. And that's it. Now personally, I prefer to cut the base around the shape, but you could leave, for instance, this is a circle on a square, that's fine. You can leave it that way too. It's all up to you. And we still have this little circle, and turn that into a stamp. You can also add marks directly onto the foam. Here I'm using a skewer to make tiny little holes that will show up when you make your print. And I also have my tracing wheel from back in the day. These were used to mark fabrics. Let's do another set. These are loosely based on shapes that we all love by Matisse. They're very fun to do. And I'm going to cut these out a little bit differently, again to show you the difference in how you can trim off your stamps. And here's what you can do with those leftover frames. I chose to work with Holtz Distress and Oxide inks, and instead of working in a journal, I thought I'd share this background technique on loose papers and tags, but more on that later. Of course, feel free to work directly in your journals. You might want to practice on paper anyway, but I want to mention that I'm not an expert on these. I just love the colors and the ability to layer and experiment. And there are many others that are experts who do a far better job, of course. My point is, these inks have been around for 8 years or more, and you can find a lot of great tutorials out there. So, and even, of course, Tim's tutorials. So I encourage you to check them out. And again, I don't use a lot of tip-ins in my work, but tags are a quick and easy base to use for a tip-in. Alright, so we'll be playing with these ink pads and then using our new foam stamps to make backgrounds. You'll also need extra papers for excess ink, but that's optional. Your journal or loose papers, of course, paper towels or wet wipes, spray bottle, and a heat tool. I'll be using my craft mat for the ink application, but you can also use cellophane, page protector, a Ziploc bag, or even a jelly plate if you like. Oh, and another quick note, only the Distress inks come in these tiny cubes, if you will. I believe Tim said that the formula for oxides wouldn't work in the smaller size, so just know that the inks come in the regular size and also a small 4-pack set. I'm going to start with the new Lumberjack plaid. It's a gorgeous red, and I'm using both the ink and oxide paired with picked raspberry. It's another stunning color. I'm starting by swiping the Lumberjack plaids on the craft mat, then spritzing them with water, and it's important to get that beading. Then dip your substrate directly onto the wet inks, and try not to swipe or rub your papers. Do a little dip and lift action, just a couple times or as needed. Now, I admit it takes practice and I'm still learning the hang of it. If you want to add color to specific areas, use a wet paintbrush, and then sop up the excess ink onto your scrap paper if you wish. Then wipe off the rest. Let's activate these inks by splashing some water. You'll notice that the oxide leaves a chalky finish as compared to the Distress inks. The trick is to dry the inks between each layer. I don't often use a heat tool, but I definitely do with this process. Now it's time for some picked raspberry, and I'm using the oxide ink. I really love how these are turning out, but in the spirit of play, I'm not going to get attached. You can stop here, but I'm going to add a few more colors. And I'm going to be brave and add green. It's December, right? So I'm only going to add green to the larger piece. I'm going to start with Rustic Wilderness and then Twisted Citron. And because you know it's a lengthy process, I'm going to speed it up and then I'll meet you after that. Okay, so that line kind of bothers me, but I'm not too mad about it, because if I didn't try, I wouldn't know. And everything is fixable. Now for this, I thought I'd try a different color. We're going to go with Villainous Potion, I believe. Yeah. And again, I'll fast forward and meet you at the end. Now it's time to use our stamps. You can certainly use stamp pads, but whenever I use my stamps, I always like to use acrylic paints. Now, Liquitex Basics Titanium White is my staple, but I noticed that the white isn't as opaque as I prefer, so I went out and got Liquitex Professional Grade Titanium White. You can use a dome applicator, a makeup sponge, but I like to use my fingers. I have a brayer on hand for more texture as well. It's very messy, but please use whatever method you prefer. Well, friends, I owe you an apology. I missed some footage here. Apparently my camera wasn't filming, so what I did after the white paint had dried, I went back and reapplied more inks, same process, squirt with water and dip it through. And I'm noticing that with this professional brand of titanium white, it really acts more like a resist. What I'm saying is that you can repeat the ink process as much as you like until you get the results that you like. I made a simple tag tip-in and gave it a home in this journal, which I haven't worked in yet, but I do plan to. As you know, one of the easiest ways to attach a tip-in is to tape the edge of the tag to the page and reinforce the seam the same way inside the fold. For the tag, I used an original vintage photo, then added paper and a stenciled cutout behind it, and added the caption, "I've got this." I really enjoy using vintage photos against bright backgrounds. Lastly, I'd like to share the inspiration for my prompt share. As I was practicing techniques, this caught my eye. I recently got this from my dear friend Mistel Kirking, and my first thought was, now that would make a great tip-in. Immediately followed by, no, I have to make this into a journal. So I was so fixated with this. I only wish I had time to create the journal and work in it, but of course there was no time. I still have to figure out how I want to structure it and all that, so that's for another time. But I wanted to share and explain how working with prompts can really be a catapult for more ideas and sparking creativity. There is that innate connection there, and I hope this makes sense. So, by having this idea to turn this piece into a journal, I can make foam stamps to mimic the lines and the shapes that Misty drew on the house, maybe work on more elaborate interactive tip-ins, that sort of a thing. So look around, and again, you can look at old work, of course get inspiration from other artists. It's all good, and that way you just keep doing what you love. And thanks again to Laura, Nicole, and Erin for this chance to share with you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.